Okay, this is the Slaughterama Swiss ball total legs workout. You're going to basically be beginning with the top exercise. You're going to move through them in one big giant sequence, doing the prescribed number of reps or time, and then you go back through the sequence for a total of usually about 2 to 3 sets, 4 or 5 if you're more advanced. We're going to get started. All you're going to need is a Swiss ball and a wall, and maybe some weights for progressions later on. So the first exercise you're going to be doing is the wall ball overhead squats. So you place a Swiss ball. Typically a 55 centimeter Swiss ball is ideal, but you can make this work with a Swiss ball of any size. You place it between the hollow of the low back and the wall, and you're leaning backward into it like so. Now I'm going to have my feet together side by side, and my arms straight up in the air with my elbows locked out. Now I'm leaning back into the ball and I squat all the way down. The ball rolls up my back. And then I stand tall and the ball is rolling, massaging up and down my low back. And I'm using it to lean into to help me achieve proper depth. Now, if you're doing this and your knees are going way past your toes, such as this, you know, that's knees going way past the toes, it just means you need to walk your feet further out in front. So that would be a way to just modify the exercise. Now, if you want to, for a progression, you could add a little triple pump at the bottom, or you go 1, 2, 3, then all the way up. 1, 2, 3, then all the way up. You will feel that burn. Or you can hold light dumbbells in hand. And I'm talking about 3-pound dumbbells, maybe 5-pound dumbbells, and that will work a lot more of the shoulders when you're doing the exercise. Now the next exercise you will immediately go into without taking a break if you can. Typically it might be a 10 to 15 second break just to clear a little bit of the lactic acid out of your legs, but otherwise a minimal rest break. You're going right into number 2. This is basically the same exercise but with a really wide stance, okay? So now you're going feet wide apart. Once again, the Swiss ball is between the low back and the wall, arms overhead. You won't be able to go as deep. And you'll notice that you're hitting up the muscles of the hips and thighs from a different angle for more of a comprehensive fitness training effect. Okay, you may feel this a little bit more in the groin when you're doing that one there. And then once again, with the feet wide, progressions may include adding a single pump or a triple pump at the bottom. So you go up, down, and all the way up. Or perhaps you just hold some light weights overhead. Now the next exercise is the wall ball stationary lunge. For this one here, you step one foot out in front. Now your other foot, you want to have it back, basically almost touching the wall, with the front of the foot down and the heel up. Okay, this is the part most people get wrong. They have the foot too far away from the wall. And then when they try to lunge, they get bunched up. Okay, you need to be in a long stride, and that foot needs to be right back towards the wall, and you're leaning back into the ball. Arm overhead, and you lunge down and come up. And once again, we're going on to these lunges right away after those wide stance squats. And you'll do the prescribed reps or time on one leg, then you switch to the other leg. Now, it's unlikely you'll need a progression on this because you're already pretty fatigued from the previous 2 exercises, the squats. But if you needed to, you could add a little pump at the bottom or a triple pump. 1, 2, 3, and up. 1, 2, 3, and up. And if you like, you can hold weights overhead as well. Now, the next exercise is going to be the back on ball hip extensions. For this, getting into position is key. You're going to start off sitting on the ball like this. Okay? You walk your way forward and you lean back. Now from this position here, you want to create almost like a tabletop. Everything is straight from your shoulders to your knees. Arms are crossed. Okay? You allow your hips to go straight down. Then you push them straight up towards the sky. Allow the hips to go straight down. Push them straight up towards the sky, just like that. And you should keep your knees so that they're not moving forward past your feet. Sometimes people have the knees go forward past the feet like this. That's usually improper setup. Just walk your feet further out in front. So you're just lifting your hips up and down. You're going to feel that in the glutes and the hamstrings. All right? And if you wanted to, if you have access to it, a very logical progression here would be to take something like this mini band, which looks like a closed loop, elasticy material, and you would just step through it like this. You have it at the level of your knees, okay? And you would be pushing out on it the whole time as you do this exercise. So it'd be like this, maybe pushing out on the mini band the whole time. That helps recruit glute medius and glute minimus, because the exercise doing the hip extension is already hitting a fair amount of glute max. So there's 3 glutes, glute medius, minimus, and maximus. If you include this mini band, you target a lot more of the other 2 glutes, the smaller glutes, okay? So that can be a logical progression if you like. Now the next exercise is going to be the bent over side leg raises. So for this one here, you hold on to the ball like this, all right? And then you just kind of take your foot, you turn it inward, and you're lifting it all the way up and out to the side. Sometimes I'll just hold for a breath at the top, down, 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 just like this, down. You complete all the work, and then you would go to the other side, okay? And down, down, down. Now I'm steadying the ball the whole time with my upper body, and I'm keeping my foot turned inward a little bit. That helps to target the glutes. If you had your foot pointing straight ahead, that's not a big deal. Like that, you're still working a lot of relevant musculature. It just targets the posterior glute medius a little bit more. If you have your foot turned in, posterior glute medius typically doesn't get as much muscle activity in our day-to-day life, so it helps to balance out people's muscles for the average individual and helps with optimizing alignment, so to help create more pain-free posture, okay? This would be a progression, taking that closed loop mini band. Here, I would just put it down around the ankles, okay? So you can see if I'm doing this now, I got the mini band giving some resistance. If the mini band is too hard around the ankles, you put it up to the knees, because that gives you a greater mechanical advantage because it's a shorter lever arm. So you can be somewhere along the continuum of a progression. Having it around the knees is easier, ankles is more challenging. So those are some simple and easy ways that you can progress that movement. Now the next one is pigeon foot heel raises. So for this one here, the key thing is this. Normally the feet are pointing straight ahead. This one we're having them pigeon footed. So your toes are going to be touching each other and the heels are wide apart. Okay? And I'm going to be doing that from a bent forward position. So I'm going to have my hands on the Swiss ball like this. My feet are turned in and I'm lifting all the way up and down. Okay? Now, a progression here could be to squeeze for a second at the top. All the way up, squeeze 1 second at the top. All the way up, squeeze 1 second at the top. And a further progression would be to do this one-legged. So I just balance one leg in the air. Now it can be a little bit more challenging to stabilize the Swiss ball when you do this. And if I'm balancing one leg in the air and just going one leg at a time, I would do the full work, prescribed work that I was normally doing for 2 legs, 25 to 35 reps or so. I would do that each. So 25 to 35 on the left, then 25 to 35 on the right, okay? And that's gonna work, having the feet turned in like that is gonna target more of the tibialis posterior muscle. And that muscle is like a sling and it attaches to the bones of the midfoot and helps pull them up to create healthy arches. Flat arches are very common and they're also commonly associated with knee pain, hip pain, back pain, and a whole bunch of pathologies because everything's stacked on the feet. So if your feet are collapsing, then everything else structurally has to collapse along with it. And that kind of takes your joints out of optimal alignment and may lead to irritation somewhere up the kinetic chain. So the next one we're doing is the Swiss ball butt kicker plank. For this one here, you're going to be resting your forearms on the ball, holding your body in a straight line. You want to imagine that your knees are on a swivel, and so they stay at the same height as if there's a little pull going through them, and you bring one heel to the butt at a time. And the rest of your body, you want to keep it tight like you're about to take a punch. And you're trying to minimize any shifting or any movement of the Swiss ball. So this is preventing movement as the focus. So you're trying to keep everything else still except for that lower leg. And you'll be doing about 15 to 20 each of those. If you want to make it harder, what you do is this. It's very simple. It makes it way harder. If I'm in this position here, I do the exercise from here, okay? So if I have my elbows further out in front, it's a longer lever arm. It's going to challenge the core much more so. So that concludes Swiss ball total legs in the Slaughterama series. It's typically about 2 to 5 rounds. Most people are doing 2 to 3 rounds of that giant circuit, okay? With commonly about 15-second breaks, but realistically, you're just trying to go through them as quick as you can. 15-second breaks is the standard, okay? So if you don't know what to do, just take 15-second breaks in between each exercise. Once you're done number 7, the Swiss ball by hook or plank, you can take a 2-minute break before you complete the next round, okay? So you complete them all with 15-second breaks going from 1 to 7. Once you're done 7, you can take a couple minutes break, then you go through the whole thing again. That's the way you would go through this workout. Once again, Slaughterama Swiss ball total legs.